Hello, everybody. Thanks for joining us for the breakout session here on the Amazon Supplier Project Management Tool. My name is Bill Hunter. I'm part of the client team that helps support Amazon from the Avetta side of things. And with me today is Amy Haitala, who will be leading off this presentation for you. Amy.
Hi, thank you, Bill. You guys probably heard my introduction in the main event, but in case you missed it, again, my name is Amy Haitala. I'm a contract risk field manager here at Amazon. I work most closely with Justin and Esther and Ryan that you heard in the main event. And of course, Bill is one of our support individuals for Avetta. So great guy to work with and excited to share with you a little bit more about the project management tool. So in the first section, you heard Kevin Behrens give just a little bit of a sneak peek into our project management tool and how we partnered with Avetta to really build this tool. It's kind of a first for them. They didn't have this for any other customer before for Amazon. And so I just want to talk to you a little bit more on project management tool. What we'll do is we'll get into a bit of the areas of the project management tool. We'll talk through the sections the supplier you are responsible for filling out. We'll talk a little bit about the quality and some tips using the special safety conditions and safe work planning. We'll talk a little bit about subcontractors as well. And then after we're done with this kind of presentation, I'll kick it back to Bill. Bill is going to go ahead and actually do a live demo of the project management tool, share with you guys how to find it, all the different areas of the screen. And then finally, we will do a Q&A. So please, as we're going through this presentation, please add your questions into the chat room, which should be located over here. And we will actually answer those live in the last 10 minutes or so of the presentation. So thank you guys very much. Let's get started. All right, so what is a project management tool form? So a project management tool form is simply a form issued in Avetta by your Amazon point of contact for all project-based work. So when I say project-based work, I mean equipment installation, site expansions, retrofits, those sorts of things. This does not apply to reactive repairs, preventative maintenance, those sorts of things, but really if you're working on a formal project for Amazon, this is required. Also just want to mention the project management tool and the Avetta process we're going to be talking about in this breakout session is post day one sites. So we're not talking about our greenfield pre-launch, pre-construction sites. We're talking about sites that have launched, have active, shipping, inbound, associates present, those sorts of things. So projects in that space. All right. So what are the sections of the project management tool form? So number one, in this form in Avetta, this form that we use for tracking projects from a safety compliance standpoint, it's going to be a project summary that's owned by Amazon. Next is going to be our safe work plan or JHA, or really anything your company may use in that safe work planning space could be an acceptable piece to put in here. And that's something the supplier inputs. We're going to talk about that in just a second. We need a list of all subcontractors used, and those subcontractors also must be meeting our minimum qualifications within the Avetta system. That is input by the supplier as well, and we'll discuss that. Next piece of a PMT tool form is high-risk observations. So your Amazon POC or a partner they have within a site is required to perform a high-risk observation once per project per week. High-risk observation is where essentially we observe the safety of your crews on site to ensure that you're following your safe job plan, our special safety conditions, things like that. And then finally, there's an end of project evaluation. Amazon will be keying this into the project management tool form. All of the projects that you may be working on across the network, you'll kind of get this end of project evaluation, and we can use that to directly provide feedback to your teams on what we thought you guys did well, what we thought maybe you need some improvements on, and we can drive decisions and improvements from there. All right, so next we're going to talk a little bit about the special safety conditions, then JHAs, then we're going to talk about how we kind of put those two together and how they're related in terms of project planning. So first of all, when talking safe work planning, it's important to step back and look at our special safety conditions. In the main event, we heard from Nestor Benavides discussing the importance of the special safety conditions, or SSCs. To recap, the SSCs are an agreement between Amazon and our suppliers. The SSCs detail safety requirements primarily for high-risk work while at Amazon. These SSCs are based on regulatory minimum standards, industry best practice, and some Amazon-specific rules. To note, these SSCs are not all-inclusive of any and all hazards in the workplace, but we created them with the sole purpose to improve workplace safety. They in no way, of course, limit our suppliers' responsibilities to provide a safe means and methods for their employees, and of course, no way limits our suppliers' ability to go above and beyond these requirements. They're just simply set a baseline for us on expectations. So let's take a little bit of an example here with the SSCs. If you were to review the section titled Lifting and Rigging in the SSCs, you'll find our requirements around lifting and rigging. So picking just one line from that section, and there's a few lines describing our minimum requirements, it details that all rigging equipment and attachments must be inspected prior to each use. Any defective items must be tagged and removed from service immediately. Just an example of a requirement. So having this agreed to up front via the special safety conditions allows us to clarify and eliminate ambiguity across all of our suppliers, internal Amazon employees, and across all Amazon locations as well. So where do you find the special safety conditions? I think there was a question in the chat box in the main event on this one as well. You'll see up on my screen, and Bill will kind of share a little bit more of this as well. Actually, no, Bill won't, but anyways, so how you can get to the special safety conditions is there's a form. It's called your Amazon US specific. If you're from Canada, it's the Amazon Canada specific. If you're from Mexico, it's the Amazon Mexico specific. You will see it in your compliance documentation. This is one of the very first forms that you filled out when you created your Avetta account. So you'll click on that form, and then you'll see a bunch of different items pop up, and you'll see in the middle of the screen there, it'll say Amazon Special Safety Conditions. You'll click the blue, and then it'll populate the actual documentation. I've just done a screenshot here of the intro of the special safety conditions. So why am I discussing the special safety conditions? Well, we want you, our suppliers, to use the special safety conditions in safe work planning and when filling out the project management tool form. So next, let's talk about safe work planning and JHAs. So first of all, and a lot of you probably already know this, I hope, but what is a job hazard analysis or a safe work plan? Well, it's a tool used to identify all safety hazards associated with each task or activity performed at a site. The JHA documents safe methods and controls, personal protective equipment, and training required for the work to be performed. A JHA is required for every wrench turning job while at Amazon. For project-based work, we additionally have you update this or upload this JHA in the project management tool form. Now, you are more than welcome to use your own company's template for JHAs or other risk assessment tool. You're also welcome to use an Amazon provided JHA template. That's actually what I have being shared on the right of the screen. So you're more than welcome to use that, but you can use your own as long as it answers all of those risk questions and it performs the proper assessment and safe methods, controls, PPE, training, etc. for the job. So why is safe work planning important, right? Why do we do this? Well, once you know what the hazards are in a job, you can implement a plan to reduce risk. Reducing risk reduces the opportunity for incidents and injury. And really at the end of the day, that's what all of this is about. This is what Avetta is about. This is what pre-qualification is about, what supplier, safety and job planning. It's about being safe and reducing the risk of incident or injury while on Amazon property or anywhere, right? It allows both Amazon and workers to know the plan and also to stay accountable to the plan. For example, perhaps you're completing work requiring lifting and rigging. in this plan, in the JHA, in the Safe Job Plan, and the risk assessment, this would be a phenomenal place, a great place, where you could detail the type of barricading you'll use for the job, among many other means, methods, and controls. So everyone knows the plan up front. We know what we're going to be doing, and we can hold you accountable to it, and you can hold yourselves and your crews accountable to it as well. So next, how do we tie the special safety conditions to our safe work plans, JHAs, risk assessments? Let's bring them together. So what you can do is you can use the special safety conditions as a reference point when completing your JHA. So let's look at an example. I've got this up on the screen here. So let's say that you are working a project that's requiring hazardous energy control for the work. You can pull up the hazardous energy control section of the special safety conditions. That's what's shown on the left hand of the screen right now, with your JHA pulled up, which is a little screenshot of it, not the whole thing, but that's pulled up on the right. So from the requirements, and by the way, this isn't all of it, it's just a snip, you can see that for hazardous energy control, we have lockout tags that are required. Go ahead, add that to the JHA. So you can see on the right, safe methods of controlling PPE, personal lockout locks and tags. And then company has provided a picture of what that looks like. In the special safety conditions, it says the supplier will ensure only authorized persons are performing lockout tagout and will provide authorized person training records to the purchaser on request. It's a great opportunity for you to upload copies of your personnel training records in terms of lockout tagout for the individual workers that are at the site. Typically, an on-site Amazon safety person that'll be working with you in planning of the job will likely ask you for those records. So great opportunity to add that directly into the JHA and directly into the PMT tool form. And there's many more opportunities and many more things you can see on how you can bounce the SSCs when planning into your JHA. So again, to recap, the SSCs can be used as an aid when filling out your JHA, but do remember, special safety conditions will not cover every possible hazard and requirement, right? We've got to look at, we've got to scope out the work area and the job itself. Please do go above and beyond this to plan your work safely based off of your assessment of the tasks at the site and your own internal means, method, and safety policies. Absolutely. This is just a baseline. All right. Next, I want to talk to you a little bit about subcontractors. So for the Avetta process and contract risk management, we not only require our contractors, but any subcontractors that you subcontract out to should be meeting our minimum standards in Avetta as well. Why? Amazon wants to know who's coming onto our property, what are their safety records, have they agreed to our special safety conditions, all of those things still apply to our subs as well. So yeah, so that's essentially it. So in the PMT tool form, there'll be a section for you to upload a spreadsheet, Word document, etc., just with your company names that you're going to be using to sub the work. This just allows Amazon to validate that those subcontractors are compliant in Avetta, so there's no surprises. Day one of work, you know, we contract to Joe's Plumbing and he subcontracts to Fred's Plumbing or something, and then Fred shows up. You don't want any hiccups or being blocked from starting work. So this just allows us to talk through that up front. So yes, all subs in Avetta, very critical for Amazon. We want a full view of safety metrics, quality of safety programs, and general agreements to various conditions. So all right, so that is essentially the supplier-owned section of the project management tool form. So you filled out your safe work plan or JHA, you've uploaded your subcontractors for the work, possibly additional things such as training records for your employees would be a great opportunity to hold those in this form. And then Amazon really owns the rest of that form, the high-risk observations, the end of project evaluation, the intro project, ensuring that a member of WHS, RME, or other skilled set of eyes actually reviews the JHA you submitted, and if they have any questions. So with that, I'm going to pass it over to Bill. Bill is going to go ahead and give us a live demonstration in Avetta of where you find the PMT tool form and kind of how it works. Take it away, Bill.
Thanks, Amy. So on the screen here is the home page view that you should see when you log in as a supplier, and there's a couple of different places you can go to find this. You could go to the network page if you wanted to find all of your connections you have. And if you open a specific site like AV1 here, you can see that I've got a JHA, I named it here at the bottom, that's not yet complete. Other ways to get there, you can go to the compliance page. Again, it's got a similar view or outlay or layout rather, and you can open up individual sites and see the different things that are currently due, or probably the most straightforward is just to go to the task page. And these are your tasks that currently exist. And if you look here, you can see that the one on top says pending supplier and client input here. So I know that's one that I have not yet completed versus the others that are only looking for the client. So if I open it up, you can see the first screen here, the project initiation section of it. And this is a shared form that we built for Amazon. As Amy said, it didn't exist prior. But the top part of this is completed by Amazon. So this is all the project initiation information. You wouldn't be able to do anything to this if you tried. It's set up by permission. So the section that you're going to focus on is the JHA that Amy just covered here. And if you select that, you can see there's 0 of 3 sections complete here. You've got the top part here with checkboxes, the type of work that you're going to be performing. You can check all of these that are applicable to you. And then whether or not you're using subcontractors, if you select yes here, you're going to be prompted to upload a list of who they are. As Amy mentioned, you can upload a document, whether it's Word or PDF, an Excel spreadsheet, whatever you choose. And if you select that, it should bring up a file manager for you, and you could then, attach your subcontractor list, for example. It then asks you about your JHA. If you have your own template or document, as Amy said, you can use it. If you don't, and you select no, it exposes a link here to the template that Amazon has provided and is built into the system here. But if you do have your own, say yes. Again, choose the file manager tab here, and it'll bring up the file manager on your local system, and you could go ahead and just attach that document right here as you go along. And then finally, if you've got the training records, as she mentioned, by individual, you could then come in here and put in training transcripts. Again, we'll take about any file type that you're able to upload on your system. And basically at this point, that's it for the Supplier. The rest of these are going to be completed by Amazonians. So the high-risk observations, the end of project evaluation, et cetera. You can see if anything's been done here. You can go to the bottom right and choose the next arrow. But again, this section is not for the Supplier. You can see that my mouse is not active here. So the system essentially is done with my component of it here. When I come back now to the other views of this, let me see if I will refresh that quick. I may need to come out and back in. But it should come back and say shortly here that it's pending client input. I believe this is just not refreshing at the moment, and that's unfortunately a hazard of doing a live demo on our system here. So I do apologize. Typically, if you would complete and go back out to the home screen, this would change now, and it will say just pending client input because the Supplier component is now complete. But it's pretty straightforward, just reinforcing everything that Amy covered there previously. And as I said, there's a couple of different ways you can get into and find this information in the system. But that's really about the extent of it at this point. So with that, I believe we can end the demo portion and let's move to the Q&A.
Hello, everybody. My name is Joseph Matthews. I'm a multi-site WHS manager here with Amazon, and I'll be fielding the questions today. So as of right now, we do only have one question. It was from the beginning of the presentation. The question was, is this process initiated by the Amazon contact?
I can take that question. Yes, so your Amazon POC, so I'll give you an example. Maybe you're working with an ops engineer on an MHE install at a site. That ops engineer, that's the Amazon project manager for the whole project. They are responsible for creating this form. Once it's created and initiated, they have to fill out the project initiation, that first tab, so we all know which project we're talking about. We're not putting a JHA on an install for the wrong thing, right? And then you'll have access to it. Then you'll have access to upload your JHA. So if you don't see it, please bug your project manager you're working with at Amazon. Good question.
So that is the only question. So I guess I'll open the chat up to any questions and I'll fill them from there. Okay, so we have a question here. How long should we expect a response from a Avetta team when we upload documents?
So when you upload your information to be verified by Avetta, it does go into a queue, and typically the turnaround on document reviews is 48 business hours. It's typically faster than that, but that is the default SLA. And if you have any difficulty or trouble with it, obviously you can reach out to support. There's a number of ways in the system to access Avetta support, and you'll reach somebody live. We strive to keep hold times under 30 seconds, so it shouldn't be a long wait, and you can use chat or email or telephone to do that. And I do apologize, I want to take one moment. One thing I failed to mention as I was showing you the form, if you were not prepared to complete the entire form at once, you can always leave it at any time and come back. All of your work is saved automatically. So if you needed to go find a copy of your contractor list or your own JHA, maybe you'd opened the form and started it, but couldn't complete it at that time, rest assured you can always go back in and it'll save where you left off.
All right, so the next question is, are Browse and Avetta still merging into one platform? If so, what's the timetable look like?
Yeah, they are absolutely. The migrations have been ongoing for a few months now. There was basically to get all the features and the feature parity from system to system to be consistent. So there is a schedule. If you were a legacy Browse user, if you reach out to your account manager, they should be able to inform you on the timeline for your migration if it's not happened yet. But they're happening at a pretty quick pace and actively right now.
All right, so the next question is there an opportunity to go through the website with someone in real time? Can they schedule that? And they sometimes find the platform confusing. So is there like some type of demo service that they can sign up for with the Avetta team?
Absolutely. There's a section when you log in under the support, it will take you to a whole training section. There's a library of both self-paced and on-demand training. We do run periodic live webinars. If you opt to sign up for and join one of those, it will be led by an instructor in real time. And certainly if you're just having any difficulty, reaching out to the support line, they will spend the time that's needed to walk you through that. But the help center does have links to the, as I said, a fairly extensive library of video training, web-based training, as well as reference documents, one-pagers. So,
the next question is, where can they find a copy of the special safety standards? I'm assuming that means the Amazon safety standards.
Can answer that question. So if you go into your forms, so the forms that you're filling out, the US specific, the COVID update, the general liability insurance, your questionnaires, like that's what I mean by forms when you first created your account with Amazon. You'll go to the Amazon country specific, it's the name of it, or Amazon US specific, Amazon Mexico specific, Amazon UK specific. Actually, that's not correct, but anyways, Amazon country and specific, and you'll be able to populate that form. And in that form, it's going to detail if you have an MSA with Amazon, that's like one of the questions. It'll have your Amazon POC, it'll have another few things, and on the screen you'll just see it'll say Amazon special safety conditions, and you'll be able to click it and it'll download the actual 15 page, I think it's about 15 pages PDF of those special safety conditions. I will say if you just get stuck and you can't find it, reach out to your Amazon POC, reach out to WHS, reach out to Avetta. I'm sure they can point you in the correct direction, but it's in the country specific form.
All right, so the next question would be, how long does the yearly audit take each team?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
How long does a yearly audit take each team?
I'm not sure.
I think that's referencing, Bill, the annual update process with Avetta. So the yearly update with TRIR, EMR, that documentation from Q1.
Right. So during annual update season, which opens on January 1st and runs for 90 days, at the point that you submit or complete all your required updates that Amazon wants from you, again, once they're complete, they go into a queue, and the default is 48 business hours to review and approve or send back for clarification if there's any open issues with it. The one delta would be if you actually are high risk and going through a manual audit, that is a 2-week turnaround to review the complete manual audit, but that's typically only required once every 3 years.
All right, so just going forward to the next question. How are Amazon purchase orders sent to the contractor / supplier? Are they generated through Avetta?
I can take that question. Yeah, so fun fact about me, first of all, I actually came from the procurement group. I was a procurement operations manager based out of the AR sortable FC BFI4, and I spent probably of my career with Amazon about 7 years in procurement. So anyways, this one I got. So purchase orders, we have a system called Coupa that we use for purchase order management, and those POs, the individual point of contact when we set up your account in Pay Central, there's an email alias that all purchase orders get sent to as soon as the last approver approves the purchase order, and that's done automatically to that person that we have on file in Coupa. Also, a stakeholder such as like the project manager you're working with or other POC can also download a PDF copy of that and email it to you. But Avetta is not used for purchase orders, those sorts of things. So if you think of Avetta, consider it more focused on safety, like all the things that we're driving in the pre-qualification system, they're focused on safety and the purchase orders, the price, the quality, delivery times, all that stuff is a little bit different. So hope that answers your question.
All right, so next one's going to be, can Amazon see the documents we upload to Avetta? For example, our safety manual.
It's one of the benefits of Avetta, and that's why we partnered with Avetta. Yes, it's a wonderful system that we can kind of consolidate everything at a network level, right? It's like before Amazon, I had like no central location I could go to view compliance documents, safety manuals, like anything. I'd have to email a supplier directly and request a copy of it. Our procurement partners didn't necessarily have that saved in a location that anyone could access it. So that's one of the benefits and why we partnered with Avetta, is so that we'd be able to consolidate various pieces of paperwork, including your safety manual. By the way, Bill was referencing a manual audit. Avetta does perform an audit of your safety manual to ensure it hits on all kind of requirements for Amazon in terms of safety, to make sure you have the right programs in place to kind of meet our minimum standards. But yeah, I can go into Avetta right now and pull your safety manual. I can, and so can any Amazon employee. Any Amazon employee with access to Avetta.
Cool. So the next one is going to be, how does Amazon distinguish between a project versus normal maintenance or repair work?
Yep. So our projects, we think of this as, so if you think of a repair and maintenance, right, it's a service call. So if you're calling someone in to perform a service, that's a reactive repair or what have you, that is by its nature a repair, right? We also have preventative maintenance. So our RME teams have a system called EAM where it keeps track of when we have different times to come in and complete a new PM with our contractors, or when they're required to come in for the PM. So that's an indicator for those work activities. When we think of a project, we have at Amazon our internal project tools. So we have like CM Upload, Playbook, etc. Like all these things. We're talking projects where we get capital funding approved to improve, implement something kind of new, if you will, at Amazon. So that's kind of how we dictate it. Typically a project, again, it's just a little bit of a different scope. So projects are typically run by ops engineering, the robotics advanced tech deploy team, solar, sustainability. Those are typically the POCs. Our Army partners, they're the ones typically handling the reactive repairs and the PMs. But in some cases, they could also be the project manager. But that's fewer opportunities. So hope that answers the question. Joseph, I can't hear you talking.
Sorry, I was talking to you. This one is a follow-up to the can Amazon see the document we upload question? And the question is, they need assistance specifically for their account. Should they reach out to support for that?
So as far as completing the documents, I assume if that's the case, absolutely, that's what the support people are there to help through. And if it's not clear or intuitive, obviously we want to help you complete it. And secondly, it's maybe an opportunity for us to make something more intuitive and easier to follow if there is something that people are not certain how to complete. So absolutely.
All right. So unfortunately, that is all the time that we have today for questions. I just want to thank everybody for their time.
Thank you all.
All right. Thank you, guys. And then please, for whichever breakout session suits your fancy, you'll find links below where you can stay tuned here. So I'll be in a different session actually now, but we'll reconvene in 3 minutes with the next breakout. Bye, guys.